Hello everyone and welcome to Geekanime channel. I'm your detective host Igor, and today we're gonna dive into some spoilers. You've been warned. If you don't want episode 4 to be spoiled for you, you should not watch this video. I hope I make myself as clear as possible because I saw those spoilers, and now some of the moments of the next episode that we're gonna see in just a couple of days are kinda spoiled for me. So you've been warned, this video is only for people who enjoy spoilers and cannot wait for a couple more days. Now, another thing I want to do before I begin is obviously give a shout out to Movie Guru. He is the one to publish some new exclusive trailer and to probably release some images that right now are circling around Discord servers. So I'm gonna go through all of those images, we're gonna compare them to what we know already, and we're gonna try to understand what to expect from episode 4. But not only that, in one of the moments that we're gonna discuss today, there's gonna be some spoilers from next episodes, from episode 6, 7 and so on, from the Rotten Tomatoes synopsises that were published already. This is not something new, but you know, when you read those synopsises, you can understand more about what we're gonna see in episode 4. Sorry for the long intro, but otherwise you would probably be surprised and maybe even disappointed by some of the spoilers that's gonna be in this video, so you've been warned. But before we begin, as usual, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon and on YouTube membership or some one-time donations. Your help, your support, your belief in me basically gives me the biggest motivation boost that can ever be created. And I also want to thank Angela Dupree for joining as champion, another member in our amazing small community of Patreons. Thank you so much for your support. Now you can watch my videos without any ads on the Patreon platform, so thank you so much for your support, and let's dive in. So obviously some of the images are not gonna be super spoilery, but I couldn't divide them between the non-spoilery and super spoilery images, so we're gonna start with the chronological direction. So first of all, we have the crawls as usual next to the tree where Tabitha and the ambulance were stopped. There's obviously gonna be crawls. We see no breaking of the pattern here. The same thing, we have the tree, we have the crawls, and we have the cop deciding to basically do a detour because she doesn't want to jump over the tree. And I was expecting to maybe Tabitha somehow getting escaped and running for her own, but that's not gonna happen, unfortunately. Still, she's gonna be the one to warn both the medic and the policewoman to not go out, because during the night you cannot stop your car. If you go out, you're gonna be killed. And they look a little bit concerned. You would imagine that they probably wouldn't believe her, but they kind of look a little bit concerned, so maybe this is already during the night, as you can see through the window, so they probably already noticed that no matter how much they drive, they're still driving in circles. So maybe at this point they are already taking Tabitha a little bit more serious, but obviously it's not gonna work 100%. We can see, by the way, that Henry is still unconscious. I don't know how they're gonna save him, if he's gonna die during this episode, but if he's gonna be saved, there's probably going to be some complications with bringing him back to conscience. You probably need some very good medical equipment for that, and maybe we're going to have some miracle, or something that will basically help Victor to talk to his dad, or it's not going to bring us anywhere and he's just going to die in this place. Anyway, we can see that one of the medics, the pretty boy, goes out, and this is probably after he knocked out one of the monsters. We've analyzed this moment already in my previous video. If you haven't watched this, you're more than welcome to do so, but we have this image already of the ambulance. It's probably the one to hit the monster, and then he goes out, even though Tabitha probably tried to stop him. So it's not gonna end very well for him. Pretty boy is gone. You can see that blood is spilling from his neck. Here you can see it even more clearly, and those images are not in very good quality, so obviously I can't just zoom in, because as soon as you zoom in you see only pixels, but you can understand that the policewoman is also outside. She probably noticed that something pretty bad is happening, so she went out, and then she's in danger. Anyway, we can see this image, the monster, she's being picked up by the other monsters. And once again, this image is not super duper clean, so I can basically understand everything that's happening here, but she's once again seems a little bit mechanical to me. I know we are always talking here about some like mystical things and some magical things, you know, the monsters and so on and so on and so on, but then again you get back to Jim and his theory of, you know, like amusement parks and robots and machines that look exactly like human beings, but they're not. They are mechanic. Randall was also talking about it in the end of season 2, and once again it reminds me the scene when Smiley was killed and all of the monsters are leaning very mechanically towards him. They were like, "Urgh, urgh." This kind of moments make me think that maybe it's not mystical, maybe it's not magical, maybe those monsters are actually animatronic, just like Randall used to call them. So we are moving forward. We can see that Tabitha is still in the ambulance and she's seeing Jim here, and Jim is completely shocked. Look at his eyes. He obviously already believed that he lost his wife, and now he sees her, and he's not just seeing her, he's seeing her in a very unlikely situation. She's in an ambulance and she's with the new people that arrived to this town. So obviously he's completely shocked, they're like emotions, they're hugging, whatever, and then we understand what is the big problem. And the big problem is that Tabitha is handcuffed to the ambulance. Okay, so you cannot leave her here because she's gonna be ripped apart, and you cannot save her because you need the keys. And maybe Boyd was actually looking for the keys, well, not for the ambulance, not just to start the car, he was looking actually for the keys to open the handcuffs. Or he was looking for the keys to start the car and basically to drive away. Because there's only two ways to save here Tabitha. You either uncuff her or you get the ambulance running so you can drive and escape the monsters. And maybe drive to somewhere safer and then like take a saw or something like a power saw and to cut through those handcuffs. Anyway, we're moving forward. Like, this is the moment, like, you're looking for this. You remember, we've seen this already, this moment many times. Anyway, the monster is screaming again. I don't know where to put it exactly chronologically, but it's obviously the same night. I just don't know if it was after the pretty boy was killed or before that. I don't know. Once again, we're gonna have to wait a couple of more days and see. Now, there is also a situation with Randall. Now, Randall is obviously gonna get trapped, or something's gonna happen to him. We saw already a lot of moments when he's surrounded by monsters. He's probably there to help Boyd because he's that kind of guy. He can be a douche, but he never scares to help someone. He's never too afraid to help someone. And yes, but Boyd, you remember this moment in the previous teaser that we analyzed? He was screaming, "Get in the fucking bus!" He's probably screaming to Randall. And now I'm giving you the second warning. Now we are actually entering the very spoilers territory. Now we're gonna have something that can easily spoil both episode 4 for you and later episodes. So if you want to switch off, go ahead and do it. I don't care about my algorithms. Well, I do actually care about my algorithms, but I care way more for you to enjoy my channel than this. So if you don't want to get spoiled, switch off. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds if you're doing something in the kitchen right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now Boyd's warning is not gonna help Randall because in the next shot we can see him laying on top of the ambulance. He's covered in blood and he looks completely dead. Like, look here on his neck on the right side, there is a big wound. It looks like he was bitten by one of the monsters, and it looks like he's completely dead. He's unconscious, he doesn't look alive at all, but as I told you in the Rotten Tomatoes synopsis, as we have seen in episode 7 or 8, I don't remember, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now, Randall and Julia are gonna try to find some normalcy in this scary ass town. So how can he do it if he didn't survive? And he also, on the image used by Rotten Tomatoes, he has a big patch on his right cheek, exactly as we're looking at right now. So he survived somehow. But how is probably one of the biggest questions we're gonna get this episode, because he looks dead. And also, monsters usually don't leave survivors. If they kill, they kill. You're not gonna survive that. Anyway, we're moving forward to the next scene, and we have the colony house. And the colony house, we can see Bacta finally being in this series. You know, we haven't seen her until episode 3. In episode 3 she barely did anything. She just reminded us the reason why she's in the TV show at all. And Nicky is doing something too. Now, the cop lady, she's probably gonna escape and run towards the colony house. We can see her in the trailer running, like swearing. She's like, what the hell is going on? and she's gonna get attacked by one of the monsters. She's gonna shoot the motherfucker, but it's not gonna help because either she's gonna miss or maybe the monsters are gonna somehow disappear already and she's gonna shoot Nicky, to the one who decided for some reason to look through the window, because this is what you do when people are shooting and screaming. Anyway, we can see the shot here entering through the window and she's been shot. We've seen this scene in the trailers many times, already a couple of times, and we can see the wound is on her right side. It's on the bottom of her stomach on the right side. Remember this because this is important. It's very important. We're moving forward. We can see that Mariel is trying to help her. She's saying in the trailer that she's internally bleeding, so probably not something you'll be able to help with this kind of equipment. It's something very difficult to treat even in the most modern hospitals, but you know, like in the colony house when you have only weed to help you, probably not going to be able to save Nicky there, and this is what's going to happen. You can see that Mariel is checking her pulse, and this is something that you usually do in the movies when you want to show that somebody is dead. So Nicky is dead. If you had any doubts, you can see that she's dead, but you can see right now in this moment she's already in a different place. Here she's laying on a couch, and here she's already on some sort of bed, and the only person with her is Fatima. Now, you remember what I told you about Nicky's wound, so first of all, let's watch this image. We can see that Fatima is putting two fingers inside of her mouth and one of the fingers is covered in blood. Now, you can argue that probably this is something with her teeth again, and maybe she's just, you know, like trying to puke or something like this. But you know, let's be honest with each other, it's not that. She is eating something. This is a movement of somebody who's like eating something with hands. Have you eaten hummus with hands sometimes? Sometimes you do it just like that, or I don't know, anything like anything that you eat with your hands and it's kind of liquidy. This is how you eat it. Now also look at this moment. I tried to make it as clear as possible. I added a lot of light, a lot of exposure to this image, and now we can see that she is the one. It looks like that she's the one to push those two fingers inside of her wound. So either she wants to eat the bullet, which is freaking weird even for Pika, or she just wants to eat some blood or some of the Nicky's insides, which is a couple of levels creepier than eating rotten food. Rotten food is not good. Like, not at all. It's not Pika, it's not anything, it's something to do with monsters, obviously. But eating human flesh, and once again, Taran Mataro was right about cannibalism, we're gonna see some cannibalism in episode 4. So yeah, this is very interesting, and I'm more than excited to see what's gonna happen with Fatima, because I don't imagine her just, you know, like going on with her day. Eating rotten food, this is something that can creep you out and scare the hell out of you, but you can like grasp on some belief from Tilly and her words that maybe this is just something weird concerning your pregnancy. But when you start eating human flesh, this is not pregnancy anymore. Something is really wrong with you and you need to share it with somebody. You need to share it with somebody close to you, and probably it's gonna be Alice and many others. So once again, let's talk about Rotten Tomatoes and their synopsises. We know that Boyd is gonna struggle with saving somebody who's close to him, and the town is gonna be angry at Fatima probably. So probably they're gonna discover that she's eating people and she's eating rotten food, and she's probably not one of the good guys anymore. Anyway, we're moving forward. Another scene, maybe this is after the cannibalism, maybe it's before, but there's a conversation between Fatima and Mariel telling her like, you look way better, and she's like, are you eating a little bit more? And we're like, yeah, she's eating a little bit more rotten food and human flesh. And yeah, once again, this is gonna be interesting. So we're moving forward. We have another scene in Colony House, and we have Elgin. He's having another vision of the kimono lady, and the kimono lady is like, oh, help me. She's saying that during the trailer. once again, maybe it's somehow connected to Fatima. I don't know. A lot of you told me that basically the other actress, they didn't ask for the actress who plays Fatima to portray the same kimono lady. If it's her, it would be probably more logical to give her that part, but it's not unprecedented that for the same two people, they're like two different actors portraying it. I don't know exactly, once again, because it's not exactly Fatima. It's someone that Fatima can potentially turn into, so once again, I don't know if it's Fatima. The kimono is the only thing that kind of connected here, but once again, it doesn't feel like she's one of the bad ones. But once again, I'm pretty sure that Ankui children are not good news, and they're also asking for help, so I don't know. And we move into the Victor and Sarah scene, and we can see that he opened up his suitcase. It's probably his father's suitcase, because we can see cigarettes, we can see cards. Oh, you know what? It's not Victor's father's suitcase, it's probably Christopher's suitcase. I don't understand about other things. We can see here some kind of instruments probably. Once again, as soon as gonna have images in better quality after episode 4 is gonna be released, we're gonna analyze those moments in way more detail. Anyway, we have another image here of Sarah and probably Victor and Eloise building a fort, telling his stories, and this is why he decided to build a fort. And he's probably gonna tell her a story about how he's seen the boy in white, but he's actually gonna elaborate way more about Christopher, because we have this image of Christopher just talking to the doll. Now, we like all of the theories about the doll being Christopher's dolls. He's the one to like manipulate it and, you know, like talk about it being a ventriloquist, whatever the word is. And yeah, so there's gotta be a scene here. It's very dark. I don't understand where they are, but once again, I'm super excited. As I told you in my previous video, this is the conversation that I've been expecting for years. Victor telling us more, so yeah, I'm all in. I'm waiting for this moment. And we have some, like the last moment. Once again, it's not a big one, but let's discuss it too. In the trailer, Julie tells Ethan that she doesn't remember much about being trapped, but she remembers it being like the scariest moment of her life. She's never been afraid like that. So this is what she remembers. She probably doesn't remember everything in detail. She just has the trauma. And it's interesting that she decided to share it with her tiny brother, who doesn't need that kind of information. Anyway, he's gonna call someone. Not Ethan, he's gonna get a call from probably the same spirit that basically is trying to torture his father. I don't know if he's gonna hear Thomas out there also, or he's gonna hear something else. Maybe he's gonna hear his mom. But once again, we can see that this house, and especially this family, is being more and more haunted. So this image, I probably should have put it before, but basically we can see that Ethan, he's left alone, he hears the phone call, and he's gonna get the call. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If yes, feel free to support this video any way you like, subscribe, write some interesting comments. I always enjoy reading your comments. And of course, if you want to support on Patreon, after you treated everybody in your family, in your close circle, and you helped every charity you think way more important than donating to this channel, and you're probably correct, only then you can consider support me on Patreon. Thank you so much. I always tell this because I've been a supporter on Patreon, I'm supporting people on Patreon, and I know that your financial situation can change, and sometimes you feel like, okay, you're like basically letting down the creator that you're supporting. Never feel that way with me. Only if it's super comfortable, if it comes from the bottom of your heart, and you feel like this is something you really want to do, even if it's like $2, $5, whatever, $10, only then, please, only then, so I will be able to sleep better with me even like having this Patreon account. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Bye!